This is a brief overview of ComplyAssistant and how it helps manage your compliance. When you log into ComplyAssistant, you're greeted with the dashboard. The dashboard provides a variety of graphs and charts that most dashboards you expect will include, and for those management folks, they can build reports off of it. But obviously our demo data is not really attuned to making great versions of the charts yet. It also allows you to see recent activity. And one of the important things to note when doing compliance is you need to show ongoing activity. Well, you can't beat it when you've got a true list of ongoing activity. You can see what discussions are happening, and we'll get into that a little bit, and you can also export it to a PDF. So immediately when asked, you can show the activity you have over a period of time. You have a series of tasks, and you can do your pending task, your completed task. All of those pieces are included with these features we're going to take you through, and first would be the tasks. So ComplyAssistant functions as your compliance project manager. It allows you to define tasks that need to be done, who they're assigned to, even set priorities and assign groups. There's an extensive amount of selections and different kinds of priorities that can be set, and you can add generic tasks or you can add tasks directly from compliance assessments. A generic task can have a variety of different features, and there are a lot of setup options that let you build them. That's more from a training standpoint. But the important factor is that you have the ability to utilize the system, and it's all intertwined with each other, connected to your compliance assessments and your compliance documentation. The next area is events, and events are where you enter things that happen. And when you create an event, you tell it what type it is. Was it an issue, an incident, or someone filed a complaint? And this allows you to provide complete documentation of your activity and your decisions. So an issue might be something that happened. It wasn't a breach, it was just something that came up and a decision had to be made. You could document it all in here, and there's a lot of documentation areas and any notifications that need to be made, so on and so forth, as well as attaching any documentation. So it again is all in one place. And then take it a step further, and if you actually suffer a breach, you can also create a breach event that has its own prompts, and it asks you the same information you'd be required to provide on the HHS website to report a breach. Showing you what is the questions allows you then to be prepared when you go to report a breach. And we're currently working on updates with Blast's Compliance, who writes ComplyAssistant, to address the new options released in January that give you the 4-question assessment, so that you answer questions and it'll help you decide what you need to do. But that's in development right now. Then we have audits, and you can create an audit because you're supposed to audit your compliance on a regular basis. So you create an audit that gives you a plan of when you're going to do an audit, how often you're going to do an audit of different parts of your compliance. And this allows you to document your plan and then create an ability to show all of this activity, so when you do the audit, everything's going to get connected to this plan. So you show not only what you're going to do, when you did it, and what you're going to include. Then we have assessments. And assessments can be a lot of things. They can be internal assessments or they can be external assessments. The internal assessments are those that your own risk analysis, your risk assessments, your breach analysis, so on and so forth. And then the important piece that we use this for is the business associates due diligence, because now that business associates are required to be compliant, managing business associates is a major paperwork task, because you need to follow up and make sure your business associates are actually compliant. So we've created a business associate due diligence questionnaire. We can modify it, we can edit the questions based on your individual group, but the real power comes in when you begin to manage your business associates with this. To assign an assessment, you enter the email address of your contact at the business associate, and they'll receive an email telling them that you're doing this assessment and that they should log in, and gives them a link to create their own ID and fill out their own questionnaire. So for an example, here is an assessment that was sent, and we could send new ones after the fact because you have to follow up, and you can see when it was sent, when they started it. You can do a resend of it, but you can also review all of the assessment information, so you can see where the assessments stand for all of your business associates. And that was an operator error. Here's the view of the report, and when we look at the report, now we can see details of each of your business associates. So as you go into each assessment, you can see their action items, you can see where they are within the questions, and their overall status. And so once a business associate logs in and begins to answer the questions, you're allowed to then come back in and add risk levels, add documentation that you want to do. You can write a comment and post it. It will send it to the business associate. So the entire conversation is automatically documented within ComplyAssistant for each business associate that you work with. So all the business associates then would show as your assessment list, and you are then able to view at any time where you stand and do the follow-up. But instead of you having to maintain the documentation and you having to do the regular follow-up, it all happens automatically within the system simply by you initiating the email. It's a very powerful tool for those things. Then you have the risk management area, and this shows you where you stand on your different mitigating tasks. So you're managing risk, so you have to show, okay, well, I have this many items open, I have questions to answer, I have a mitigation plan to address, and then I have my documents, which is also the next tab here. But it lets you see the documentation that's attached to each of your rules. So it's also a documentation management tool. And part of that documentation allows you to include your software resources, your hardware resources, your network resources, so the required inventory elements that you must maintain also done in this one place. So the value of ComplyAssistant and why we encourage our customers to utilize a tool is everything is stored in one place. You have the framework to enter and address, maintain your documentation on any event, any question, any issue, and definitely any breach that comes up. It tells you what to do. You go in and you follow the rules of what's inside the application. You have a project management tool that allows you to show what your plan is, and no one's having to remember and look in multiple places to determine what's going to happen next or who's in charge of what. And then finally, managing your business associates and all your documentation is a nightmare of paperwork. having it all in one place. Again, the key to all HIPAA compliance is documentation, 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 and showing that you're trying. All of these pieces allow you to do all of that in one place. Plus, all your documentation is off-site, secured at a hosting in the cloud, and you're not managing it yourself. So that's ComplyAssistant, and we are thrilled to be a partner with them and look forward to their continuing development of the features within the application that help us manage our compliance.